room. Yeah.
Still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. How you doing?
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, just making sure this thing's not acting up. Sometimes we did an interview one time with Bushwhacker Luke and had to do it 10 times because it was like freezing on us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So how's it been, man? How you been doing through this whole Corona thing?
Just doing all I can here in the homestead, just from home, and I got a tractor where I just get my cardio and walk my dog. And I got the home gym till my other gym opens back up. So just doing all I can from the homestead, like everybody else, and till the world opens back up again, more or less.
All right. I hear that. Yeah, I mean we're doing the same thing here in good old Southern Maryland. It's sitting back and waiting for the world to open back up and things to go back to normal.
Right. I'm with you.
So I mean you've had one hell of a career. I mean you worked for Ted Turner, and I mean you've been all over the indies. You've had matches with like everybody from Ricky Morton to hell. I seen you wrestling the Demon. Well, he wasn't the Demon in WCW at the time. He was what was his real name? I can't think of it.
Dale Torberg. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How was Dale? Was he a pretty cool guy?
Very cool. Really, really, really nice dude, man.
Yeah, I see that a lot from Kiss fans because like I'm a big Kiss fan myself, and I hear that a lot. Like people.
Yeah, those Kiss itself, what a cool band they are. I mean, they're always, every last one were great to me, man. And Dale Torberg, he's awesome, dude, man. He really is.
Gotcha. So you want to go ahead and tell your story? Put your story out there.
Oh my God, what a story! Jeez. Back in the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Huh? Well, well, as far as the wrestling end goes, the wrestling's been in my livelihood all my life. I grew up on it, and I remember when the first wrestlers I got to meet live were Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen.
Bruiser Brody is the man, or was the man.
Amazing, and I had a fascination at the time for pirates. So every time I saw Brody, I'd call him Blackbeard. That's one of my favorite pirates, right? You got a kick out of it, right? That was really cool. I kept calling him Blackbeard but from there I remember meeting Ric Flair and Blackjack Mulligan in the convenience store, right? They were getting drinks to go on the road in the next town, and I was helping them take their beverages, the vehicle, because they were kind of worn out and kind of beat from the show, right? Years later, being in the business, I bumped back into him, right? And they remembered that night, actually, that I helped them out get drinks. And they took me out for and gave me a drink that night after the show, so it was kind of cool.
Right.
And, well, I did amateur wrestling, collegiate wrestling, wrestled with the Hawkeyes, Dan Gable was one of my heroes growing up. I used to watch his training videos and training for the Olympics, which was just amazing. And USA Freestyle Greco-Roman wrestling, did the circuit around the country, tournament. Came one match shy of qualifying for the U.S. Olympic team. It was cool. And I trained with the Pancreation MMA, UWFI, which compares to pride fighting. And that I got to train some with Dan Severn. To this day, I mean, we're good friends, and I mean, class act guy all the way, you know. And Ken Shamrock I know very well because I not just through the MMA, but through pro wrestling as well. Another son of a gun, but really good guy, and it was kind of really cool to see these guys earlier in my career and train with them and all that, and to see where they progressed, becoming like MMA legends. and as
Mhm.
well as in pro wrestling. Really cool. So, yeah. So I was broken the business by Gene Anderson, who's with Ole and Lars, and
Right.
later on in Minnesota Wrestling. Cowboy Nelson Royal, arguably one of the greatest heavyweights of all time in NWA, and the legendary Russian Bear Ivan Koloff. And
Mhm.
those guys put me in. So you can imagine the training I went through. I mean, they kicked my ass. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was being a collegiate wrestler. You know, anybody knows anything but collegiate wrestling would tell you we train like track stars. We do constant cardio. So in the beginning, I was like a lean meat fight machine, but everybody was like so much bigger than I was. I couldn't put that to save my life because doing that constant cardio, conditioning, amateur wrestling in. So, um, but I learned a lot from and I watched videos and people who I got to wrestle early in my career when I started, right? And,
Right.
which was really cool. And you guys like him, Koloff, Ron Garvin, and this list goes on. So it's uh, that really they did a really good job preparing me for light ahead. And one of the guys my go-to for advice a lot was this actually. Like if I had a issue or a question, need I would call him. He'd give me like cool all that. So it was really guys helped me out at the beginning and what lied ahead.
Right. You still do anything with the NWA now or no?
Well, I had a really good run there for a bit with the NWA, off and on through the years. Um, even almost doing a Texas promotion with the NWA, tried to research at one point. Totally pictured helping out with that. And then another run back when I was with NWA, Smoky Mountain, not Smoky Mountain, but State, NWA Mountain, where I was full-time champ. Had some great matches with the then Adam Pierce, and another class act with him. But as far as now NWA goes, I got friends now with the NWA. I keep in touch with, and I always keep my eyes and ears open. Just like I have friends with the AW and guys I've helped train and give advice to. They're still going into business today. So, well, I mean, you got Scott Dawson, the Revival, who helped out when he started the business. Bobby Roode, Sean Morley, and I helped out Bobby Roode, B. Williams. You got Luke Gallows, Barbarian, and I helped him out. He was starting out early in his career. And even Sasha Banks' documentary was plugging my wrestling school documentary. Bless her heart. But yeah, I've really been blessed to help others in the business. Mike and Tracy Taylor, I helped them out earlier in their careers, and Eric Shea out of the Maryland area. And
Right.
I mean, I can go on, but I mean, it makes me, feel good to help others and have them become successful. I mean, this business is kind of crazy. You got some people, you probably bumped a few of them too. That's like you're afraid anybody have like success in the business because they might take away from something from them or whatever. But I've never been that way. I mean, I've always wanted to see people do well, and if I have a hand in helping them, it makes me feel good because I feel like, hey, I'm kind of living vicariously through their successes, right?
Well,
So,
I have a funny story for you. I met you years ago when we were in Kingwood, West Virginia. You guys were doing a charity wrestling show. It was you, Eugene, Ricky Morton, Bobby Eaton,
man.
Superstar. Okay, well, I walked up to you. I was wearing an ICP shirt, and I told you I was trying to get into the business, and you were telling me how to do Violent J. You remember now?
Yeah.
That day, you told me, you said, well, if you want to do it, then do it. Don't talk about it, be about it. That's kind of like the she threw at me. And so after that, I went up and I approached Ricky Morton and told him that I wanted to get into business. And he set me on the path. I was like, Stro told me to go for it, so I'm going to go for it. And, here I am, I'm talking to you, Ricky. Who do I talk to? He said, you live in the West Virginia area? Talk to these guys. And it was all that day, man, that conversation with you. Yep, I finally got into the business.
That's really cool, man. Yeah. Hey, speaking of ICP, one of them used to manage me back in the day. I'm like an OG juggalo, if you will.
Yeah, still got my man on my arm, brother.
And Clown Love.
Yeah.
But later on, when we were in WCW together, we were staring at each other in the locker room, right? And it was just like, dude, where's my car? With Ashton Kutcher.
Right.
The light bulb on our heads, we recognized who we were, right? It was like, dude. You know what I mean? Oh, so cool.
You still talk to those guys, to Jay and Shag?
It's been a while, man, but I bump into a few of the juggalos every now and then. That bump into them. We kind of relate messages back and forth. But
that's
yeah, cool. I remember one time going to like a juggalo party, right? And these kids, it was like during Halloween, so everybody's dressed up at the time. And these kids dressed as juggalos, right? This kid dressed like Eminem. They had to chase him with plastic bats saying "Slim Anus, Slim Anus." I'm like, this is crazy. Oh, so funny.
Yeah, the juggalos, man. I mean, they left an impact on the world. Let's say, I mean, Jim Cornette bitches about it enough. Oh man, he tears the juggalos up, man. And I like Cornette. I think he's intelligent and all, but man, God, it's like I'm sitting there. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm really starting to get on Jim Cornette's side. And the next thing I know, he's like, fucking goddamn mud show wrestling, fucking painted face, fucking piece of shit. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's like, like there's this new guy has come over to AEW, is working over there, Jimmy Havoc. Like, I like that guy. I think the guy's a great worker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cornette tears him apart. Like, I can understand tearing down Orange Cassidy because he's a fucking joke, or Kenny Omega. I can't stand that motherfucker. But come on, man. Like, God, Jimmy Havoc is out there and he's busting his ass and he's putting on these, like, maybe almost 5-star matches. And Jim Cornette will not give the fucker credit for nothing.
See, here's Jim Cornette doing commentary on Kenny Omega. Every time I watch now AEW, I can't keep a straight face because all I could think about was Cornette's promos in my head about Kenny Omega.
Right. Fucking, what does he call him? Magic hands.
Magic hands.
Yeah, like I always end my videos with "fuck Kenny Omega." Matter of fact, the guy,
the revival, like FTR, like remember the Young Bucks used to pick on
that's what I do, my whole "fuck Kenny Omega" thing. Like, it's kind of like pointing out to the Young Bucks and their fuck the revival. And
oh man,
I was talking to Buff Bagwell a while back on the telephone, and he told me, he says, when you do your new shirt, your new Axel Draven shirt, you should put on the back of it hashtag "fuck Kenny Omega." I thought that would be funny.
Oh man, as AEW took off or what, man? Wow.
It did, but see, like everybody's all gun ho on that product, and like, I mean, I wasn't a fan much of WWE anymore. I mean, to me, they lost their hype or whatever. I love the NWA. I love what Billy Corgan's doing. I like. I put myself in the fan's shoes, and I can believe Nick Aldis being the real world's heavyweight champion.
He's great, man. What a class act dude.
And like Trevor Murdoch, I call him the modern day Dusty Rhodes.
Oh, because Trevor's awesome, man.
He's not in the greatest of shape, but when he comes out there and he tells you he's going to knock the shit out of somebody, you believe it.
Yeah.
And then if he gets screwed over by the heel, man, you're like pissed off. You're like, it's like 1982 all over again. And,
I just bumped into question mark late this past year, right?
Right.
And it was good talking to him, man. And he used to tell me, what the great things they're doing so far with the NWA, and I couldn't be happier for him, man. I think there should be more variety in promotions and all that. I mean, more the merrier. I mean, there's room for plenty more. To be honest with you.
Right. I've been waiting to see you pop up there on the NWA Power.
They will never say never.
Right. Well, that's
That's
the same.
why I keep that focus with everything. Never say never, man. You know what I mean?
I told Buff the same thing, and he was like, "Well, man, we got to try to make it happen." You know how Marcus Bagwell is.
Yeah.
The way he's a good dude, man. But lately, I've been kind of worried about him. I've seen a video he did with Hannibal, and I was like, man, this ain't looking good. I mean, he was drinking and just on a rampage on everything.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know if you see the video or not. Yeah, he was, talking about Chris Jericho and how him and Chris got heat, or Chris has got heat with him because Buff wouldn't put him over or something.
Oh, jeez.
But
I'm praying for him, man. Hope he feels better. You know what I mean? Chris has always treated me good, man. I love Chris.
right,
We used to joke around, kidding all the time, and whenever he's doing this cheap trick, Vic, I want you to want me with Ralphus and the deal, and that was the whole crazy Mozart whacked hair with the wand waving. I mean, our theory was the more outlandish we make our characters, well, we don't like to use our gimmicks more or less, because we
right,
live what we do. It's not unlike a movie per se, where you live the character for a little while, and then when the act director says cut, that's it, right? With wrestling, you live the deal 24/7.
right.
But
Yeah,
our theory was the more outlandish we make our characters, more the office was be afraid to kill us off, because we make anything entertaining. You know what
right.
I mean? Creatively wise.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that was the thing about WCW, like, and you working there, you know firsthand, it's like they had such great talents there
Oh
that
yeah.
they're not pushing. They just kept wanting to keep pushing the relics and and I hate to say that about guys like Hogan and Flair, but at that time they were past their prime, and they had guys like you and Vampiro, Jericho,
Oh man.
Ben, Dean Malenko, and they kept you guys at the bottom of the show, like, and you guys were young and entertaining.
Oh man. We had arguably the best talent pool of anyone at that time, and it's like the best of the best from like Canada, the best from Mexico, Japan, Europe, all points in between. And it's such an awesome to be a part of it. And I was just blessed to be a part. Like one night I could be near Ray Mysterio, the other night I could be a Roddy Piper or Maestro
Right.
Man. So, yeah, it was really cool.
I mean, even with like Randy, like I didn't understand, like, when things were hot and they brought Randy in, and I mean, like when they first signed him, got him from WWE, like I think they should have pushed him like tremendously, but they didn't. They were still worried about Hogan. They were still worried about Flair. And I mean, by that point, I mean, if you remember, like, people weren't into the whole taking your vitamins, saying your prayers. They kind of liked that edgy guy, and that's who Randy was. And like, they didn't want to
Right.
push him. Like, they're like, okay, we'll give you a little bit of Randy, but we're gonna put him with Hogan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Randy's amazing, and I felt like they did the same thing to Bret Hart. They really dropped the ball on Bret, because Bret has been big.
Dude, Bret and Dynamite Kid. They're my one and two. They were the guys that made me want to be a wrestler. I mean, I
Matter of
got
fact,
Bret Hart logo tattooed in the middle of my chest. Like, no
Scott Dawson Revival. He's a
uh-huh.
huge Bret Hart fan. He's all about some Bret Hart, man.
Right. You got to be. I mean, when you think about some of the best workers, best storytellers, Bret's right there.
Oh, he's great, man. And well, he's a class act dude, man. He really is. I
Yeah,
enjoy spend time.
I met Bret years ago. Father's Day, he came to Bowie, Maryland to the
Mhm.
Bowie Baystock Stadium for Father's
Yeah.
Day. And I met him there. Actually, I have a 17-year-old autistic son who I named after Brett.
Oh,
So
right
his
on.
Brett. So I took him that day. Didn't even tell him who he was meeting. And he's sitting there and he's watching, like, as they're getting ready to do the first pitch. And my son couldn't figure out why all these wrestling fans were there. Like, you see all this Bret Hart t-shirts and stuff. And when they bring out the celebrity or whatever to throw the first pitch, like they have certain music play. Well, Bret Hart's theme song hit, and man, I thought my son was going to yank my arm off. He's like, "Dad, that's Bret Hart's music." And then he's like walking out to the field. He goes, "Dad, it's Bret Hart." I was like, "Yeah, that's who you're here to see." And yeah, it was an amazing day.
That's awesome.
But
I remember one
yeah,
time, locker room, right? And
uh-huh.
having a hard time unzipping back because I tend to overpack sometimes. And it's a bad habit I got from my grandma about overpack. I'm afraid I'll forget something. You know what I mean? So I'm having the hard time rather, like getting my gear and everything in my bag. I had too much stuff in it. And Brett came over and asked to help me out. Like, yeah, sure. And Chris Benoit came over and asked if he could help us out. So we're like triple team in the bag. We're like putting the boots in my bag to get the shut, right?
Right.
Hulk Hogan walks in the locker room. He pokes in his head. There's oh, brother. He sees us double team in the bag. He said, I think I'll talk to you guys later, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, you were there with Benoit. You were there with Hogan. How was Benoit? Like when you met him? Like, I mean, was he a real laid back guy or?
Oh yeah, man, he was fantastic. We had both tried out WWE right before going to WCW, actually,
Uh-huh.
and I had a good match with Scotty Riggs. He had a great match with Owen Hart at the time,
Right.
but the timing just wasn't right for neither one of us. So later on, we both ended WCW together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, he was such a cool guy, man. Very motivational. Matter of fact, he wanted to do a program with me at one time, which I wish that would have went down. I would love to have like rather than just one match, have a series of matches with him, which is really cool. But yeah, coolest guy, man, great guy, and I got to Liger, Jushin Liger came to WCW, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to both of them because I watched their matches in Japan to see them finally do their thing, like really cool. But Ben Watts, he was such a good dude, man, at the time, and when he left with the Radicals, with
Right.
Malenko and Barry, Shane Douglas, and Dean Malenko, I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do? They're my buddies, you know what I mean? They're all leaving. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm really happy they went to WWE and did what they did and make it be successful. So and it's so sad what happened to this day. What happened with Benoit's family? Because I tell you, him and Nancy, you couldn't find two people more in love than those two were. And I'm sure you've seen the Dark Side of the Ring recently, and yeah, I just got chills seeing it because I was like right in the middle of that, man. I was with my friends and grew up in it, and like Kevin Sullivan's a really good friend of mine, and he's helped me a lot for years. Um, sometimes, I've talked to some of the people in the business. You sometimes feel like the middle because
Mm-hmm.
you know, friends with Sullivan, friends with Benoit, but there's like some tension going on, and friends with Nancy too as well. She was what a great she was. Nancy was awesome, but it's just like what do you do? You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
to see what happened to Benoit and his family. I mean, honestly, I don't. In heart of hearts, I still don't think we've heard the entire truth of the whole situation. Now, it's
Right.
sad that. Bottom line is, I think it's just sad that we lost some some people that we lost the business.
Right. I mean, it's like I did a video yesterday. where I just sat there and I talked about Benoit and like all the good stuff he did in the ring. Like I left out, like I ended it like when I was talking about his career, I ended it at that final match he had, for the WWE's version of ECW, and like how he was supposed to face CM Punk.
Right.
It's like I hate that, when somebody brings up Chris Benoit, the first thing they want to talk about is the murders. And then like, and especially in these videos I've been noticing a lot lately is that somebody like say like you, like somebody's interviewing you and you go into the thing about the murders. You get these people to go on underneath and they comment like some hateful fucking shit. Like, I mean, and they don't think like, David Benoit, the Chris's oldest son, may end up reading this shit, or they'll go on his profile, like he'll post something of his dad, a video or something, and they'll say your dad's a fucking killer. And I mean, it's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I mean, there's still family out there who are still trying to deal with this shit every day.
Exactly. And that's, I pray for their families all the time, man, because I can't imagine what they go through every day. Every this happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, just like you knew Chris, from the working with you, all were friends. I mean, I was a fan of Chris's, because he was a fan of Dynamite, so of course that made me a fan of him. And if you would have told me like that night that at the ECW taping or whatever, when they were doing ECW and he won that match, getting scheduled to go fight Punk, that was going to be the last time I was going to see Benoit, I'd have told you, nah, you're fucking crazy, man. Benoit ain't going to fucking no-show nobody. You fucking kidding me? Like, he has the work like fucking Dynamite Kid. He's going to, and then when that shit happened, it totally blew my mind.
That's great. And it really hurt too losing Eddie Guerrero, man. Because Eddie, Eddie was such a good dude, man. He really was. His whole family was great. We used to pray together before matches. And are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, are you there? Okay. Oh, you're back. Okay.
Somebody was trying to call me, and then like I tell people, look, from this time period to this time period, don't call me. And then
I was going to tell you about Eddie, man. I'm good friends with the Guerrero family, man. They're good, just like the Armstrongs, man. Everyone, last one was good as gold. The tryout match I had that got me in WCW. Hello?
So here, like I said, the people are
okay.
They keep trying to.
Well, I was going to say the tryout match that got me signed actually was with Chavo Guerrero Jr., which I could have been more happier. And we had a great match, and that was actually a match where got me legitimately signed with Hogan and Macho Man were very instrumental in bringing me in because they found out about me through Jarrett, who was Jeff Jarrett's dad, right? I did some wrestling in Memphis for the Stores of the Third. Yeah, just paying respect to my granduncle who was the original years ago. So, but yeah, Chavo Guerrero is amazing. Him, Hector, Eddie, Mondo, that whole family was just amazing.
Yeah, I liked watching the Guerreros work. I mean, because like see, I'm not for all the showbiz part of the pro wrestling. It never was. I like the good story, and I like guys who can work in the ring.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's why, as a little kid, I remember going to the Capitol Center here in Maryland, and it was supposed to be Hulk Hogan versus Killer Khan, and I was really excited to see that match. Like, I mean, I was because I was a little kid. Hulk Hogan was the guy, and this is how I discovered Bret and Dynamite.
Yeah,
the Bulldogs versus the Hart Foundation was the tag team match, and I'm watching that, and I see, the Bulldogs come out, and I see Dynamite, the way he was working in the ring. And I always liked Bret. I always thought Bret was cool because he wore the aviator fucking sunglasses and all. And it's watching him and Dynamite work in the ring. And like at that moment, Hogan didn't matter anymore. It was like I was for Dynamite Kid and Bret the Hitman Hart. Like I wanted Bret to like break off from the Anvil and become a good guy, and team with Dynamite because I thought they could be like the greatest tag team ever.
Absolutely.
When you're a kid, you have these like fantasy ideas in your head or whatever. But yeah, that's when they became my guys. And then when Bret, of course, went ahead and became the face and won the Intercontinental title, I was just like, oh my God. Of course,
what a match you have with Kurt Hennig too.
Oh yeah, oh man,
amazing.
Hennig was another good one.
Oh, Hennig was amazing, man. I remember I got to be close with him and Bret because we had lost people that were close to us. Like, Bret was grieving about Owen, which I knew of Owen, and we got to hang out together a few times, and then Kurt Hennig was grieving on Rick Rude passed away.
Mm-hmm. And
Rick was a great dude, man. He was my Subway buddy for a little while when I was doing WCW shots in the early days. Right? There's Subway. But we got to be close because and I'd lost my fiance to brain aneurysm.
Mm-hmm.
Leanne Runner, she wrestled on the Regina Cage, and we never got. Matter of fact, Leilani Kai was training her, and she loved her like a sister. I mean, they get past her sisters legitimately, right? But we're just like sitting there grieving about our losses, and through that we got to be good friends. And Kurt was such a happy-go-lucky guy. He really was, and he could do. I mean, if you had a bad match with a Kurt Hennig or a Bret Hart, something was wrong with the universe.
Right. Yeah, because I remember I said it before. One time I think I was talking to Buff Bagwell back when I was working down in West Virginia doing shows. Like I said, people keep calling me. Where, man, like they know my computer is down, like it's completely crashed. It's like junk. And I tell them not to call me, and they still call me. But no, like I said, it was WrestleMania weekend. It was the same WrestleMania where out of the two series where Bret or Sean fought Taker, it was the first one. And Buff did this show for this guy named Damian Lee. He ran a company called XWE out of West Virginia.
Okay.
Damian, a total douchebag.
Ah.
But he didn't pay the boys that Buff had to pay us out of pocket. Well, me and Buff were in the bar and we're drinking, and I told him, I said, Buff, you were good. I said, but you're not Bret Hart. And he says, what do you mean? What do you, why you say that? Of course, I'm not Canada or whatever, right? I said, no, it has nothing to do with Canada. I said, it's a simple fact is, I said, you can put Bret in a ring with a broom, and he could make a broom look good. I said, Bret was just like, that's the type of worker he is. I said, Bret, you could put Bret in a ring with anybody, and he could make it look like $1 million match. And I said, unfortunately, Buff, I said, we can't do that, with you because, if somebody's in there with you, and I said, and they're not that great or whatever, the match is going to suck. And I'm like, not thinking, here I am drunk, and I'm talking to the man to his face, telling him like, you and Bret Hart. And I like Buff, and I think Buff's a great dude. And I think he dropped the ball on him big time. Like, if they would have played it smart when they brought Buff Bagwell in, dude, he could have been up there with The Rock.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, guys, I mean, and the look, the women loved him. I mean, and
a lot of charisma, a whole bunch of charisma.
Yeah, dude, like they dropped the ball, and just like with there's so many guys from WCW that WWE didn't pick up or they just left, and I just shake my head. I'm just like, what the fuck, like what?
Right.
You got like there was you. I mean, and there's a lot of guys I met through my thing being on the Indies. Like I met you. I met Zoltan, fucking another great fucking dude, Lord Zoltan.
Zoltan, yeah.
Fucking he's something, man. He's a
Great.
he's a dude. Bobby Eaton, like, when the Midnight Express were hot, like, if I don't understand why Vince didn't try to snatch them up.
I would say Bobby Eaton and Ricky Steamboat are two of the smoothest guys I've been in the ring with.
Right.
And I mean, guys like those two made wrestling an art form.
Right.
I mean, and it's amazing. I've had so many good matches with Bobby Eaton, and Bobby's kind of like one of the nicest people you ever meet in the business.
Yeah. I met him the day I met you. So yeah, believe me, I know. Like, I grew up watching Bobby Eaton on TV. Like I said, I'm a Maryland guy, so I grew up watching him on 54. With the old NWA and all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was that I did a video today where I sat down and I talked about Bobby Eaton and his career. Like, that's a guy I would love to interview. Like, because he doesn't really do interviews.
Like, I remember one time they were having a ceremony, right? And Steve Kern was doing the speech, right?
Right.
Steve Kern's another guy I've really admired back in the day, back when
that the same idiot keeps calling me.
Steve Kern and Mike Graham were one of my favorite teams, like early back in the day, down in the Florida area.
Right.
Florida. And Steve Kern was giving a speech, and he said he was saying that who he feels is pound for pound the greatest wrestler in the business, and he said Bobby Eaton, right? And everybody started clapping for Bobby, right? Well, Bobby got so embarrassed he was trying to hide under the table, and Cornette was trying to get Bobby, come on, cheer for you, Bobby. Come up, and say a few words. But that's how humble. That's how humble he is. I mean, he's not. He's not. He's not too much ego and all that. I mean, he just loves the business.
He's kind of like Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton's kind of the same way. If you catch Ricky before he starts drinking. Because I remember first time I ever met Ricky Morton, I was in Bristol, Tennessee.
Right.
Dukes of Hazzard Festival they do out there. Duke Fest. Mm-hmm. And I'm walking and I'm looking down at the ground, and next thing I know, I see these pair of wrestling boots with the shiny silver fabric on them, and I look up and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, you're Ricky fucking Morton, like this, like first time ever meeting a pro wrestler like face to face, like a guy I grew up with, or grew up watching on television. And he's like, yeah, man. I was like, oh my God, can I get a picture with you? He says, make a deal with you. I'll let you get a picture with me if you let me get one of them cigarettes. And I was like, take a fucking pack. So, yeah, I met him and I marked out. I'm not gonna lie. This is before I got into the business. I mean, I was young. And I told him flat out. I mean, I told him how I felt. I said, when Vince brought in the Rockers, I thought Shawn and Marty were a fucking ripoff of fucking Ricky and Robert. I thought Ricky was a better worker in the ring and believe more of a better babyface than Shawn could ever be. And that's my opinion. I mean, I respect Shawn Michaels, but I don't think he is as good as they say he is. I think the other guys put him over.
I like the run in the AWA much better, honestly, when they were feuding with Buddy Rose and Doug Summers.
Oh, yes.
They had some great matches.
Yeah, see, now, I didn't really get to watch AWA when I was a kid much because, I mean, I watched it on ESPN or whatever, but, when they started coming out with the DVDs, Best of Shawn, where they would show those AWA matches, and I realized him and Marty were a way better tag team in the AWA, like you said before they came. It's like okay, well, me and you were a tag team, and we're getting contracted to the old WWF. We could be busting our asses in the NWA doing hurricanranas and all kinds of other shit. We get to WWF and they say, oh no, none of that shit. You ain't doing that here. Just go out there and do what's possible. Less is more money.
Yeah. Well, that was back when AWA was hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I try to explain it to a lot of these young kids who you see them on these groups on Facebook about pro wrestling and all, and they'll be like, oh man, I want to see when Jay Briscoe from Ring of Honor won the Ring of Honor title. Somebody said, oh, I'd love to see him go to WWE, and I'm like, he won't be the same.
Right.
the way Jay Briscoe is in Ring of Honor, they couldn't have him like that there.
Look what happened to Dusty Rhodes. Good Lord.
Oh my God. Yeah, definitely. Look at what they did to Dusty with the polka dots. I mean, that's probably what they would have done to Jay Briscoe. If Jay Briscoe would have showed up there, Jay or Mark Briscoe, it probably had them in polka dots.
WWE back then was a different world, man.
Right. It was cartoonish, really cartoonish.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess it was good because I mean their demographic was, it was supposed to be a family event. You bring the kids and we got toys and
right.
And now it's like that same idea is still going. Like they're using that same idea with the PG era, which I mean is all cool. Like I'd like a wrestling product for my kids or whatever to watch.
Yeah.
And there's a wrestling product from like the NWA. Like at least with the NWA, I know it's safe. I can take my kids there. I'm not gonna worry about them hearing like an F-bomb or anything like that.
Right.
But it's for me, like you know what I mean. Like there's no stupid gimmicks, and like like I don't have to worry about the dumpster guy coming or a big turkey running down the ring or what I mean. Or some 90-year-old woman giving birth to a hand, like but WCW had their bad moments. Do you remember RoboCop?
Who can forget RoboCop?
Yeah, when he got himself free to come out and help Sting, and then remember when they brought in Tugboat, but he wasn't Tugboat. He was
Shockmaster.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The Shockmaster. Yeah. I love to hear Dusty when he was talking about it on the Legends panel about the Shockmaster incident. Oh, it was fun. Yeah. Hilarious.
I actually bought that DVD set of the Round Table or whatever.
Yeah.
And my favorite one is when he's talking about Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
You know when he said,
yeah.
you on me or whatever, you some bitch.
Well, even Slaughter, look at what happened. I mean, he was like a hero back then, G.I. Joe and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the 80s were great. I mean, you really think about it, like, I mean, with everything from the cartoons to the television shows to the band. Fine. Dude, I am getting super irritated with like people calling me. Oh man, it stopped recording. How the hell did I do that? We're probably gonna. Let's go back to recording again. Yeah, it's recording again. All right,
awesome.
Cool. So yeah, we didn't lose the video. It's still recording. Actually, I'm about to run out of time here. It's going to be. I'll tell you what. Why don't we go ahead? Would you mind doing a two-parter?
Sure.
Like we can do it another day or something.
Okay.
Or we can make it episodes if you like. I mean, it's up to you, man. I like conversating with you. Like you're probably the funnest one that I've ever done. So.
Oh yeah. It's time. Yeah.
All right. Well, Maestro, it was great talking to you. I guess me and the fans will have to catch you on the next video. Can't wait for it. It's going to be great.
Me neither.
We'll be seeing you out, my friend.
Oh, you too. Yeah. Can't wait. Thanks a lot.
Not a problem. Have a great one.
You too.